Hey everybody, welcome to My Socially Speaking. I'm your girl, Sunny J. And yeah, got a little bit of different music in the background for you today. I hope you liked it. And speaking of please like and subscribe. I hope you guys have been great since we last met. I've been doing well, thank God, and I hope that you have too. Today's topic is a little bit geared towards my ladies. Gents, you can listen too, of course, but this is very, very specific and very sensitive to my young ladies in particular. Um, I've been meeting a lot of very, very young, beautiful ladies, and I also know a lot of very young, beautiful girls. And I'm noticing a very, very interesting trend amongst many of them. And that is entering into adulthood prematurely. Now, before you get uh, sensitive or concerned or alarmed about that, hear me out. What I'm specifically referring to is the trend amongst young women. When I say young women, 25 and under, I'm noticing a pattern of very, very adult like responsibilities amongst beautiful young ladies. And I understand the idea of wanting to grow up and wanting to mature and wanting to do certain things as an adult. But I have to remind you, once you cross that line into adulthood, taking on huge responsibilities, um, work responsibilities, children, sex, bills, living alone or living with someone else, getting your own place, making financial commitments. Once you take on very adult like, very mature lifestyles, it's pretty much no going back. If you, and let me just give you an example, if you decide to become a mom very early, that's a pretty easy example. When I say very early, I mean under 25, and you decide for some reason you're not going to get married, and obviously you have a child, and you're in your early 20s, that is something that obviously you pretty much can't take back. That's not something you can go back and try to undo. Or even if you were to get your own place and you are in your early 20s or 18 or 19, you have to understand that's a really, really big commitment, a really big financial commitment. And I'd like for you younger ladies to establish good credit, maintain good credit, and consider those things for the long run, because once you tarnish your credit, you can repair it. It's just a very, 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 very long haul to get back to. So, and the stress of it all is and can be very, very unnerving. So I'm saying that because I do see a lot of very young women participating in activities and participating in huge financial responsibilities. And I get it that many of you probably feel like you have no other alternative, or some of you probably don't have any other alternative. So you have to step into those big responsibilities, those big financial responsibilities. I just want to encourage you and remind you to think about what you're doing, plan and prepare what you're doing. Don't rush. And most importantly, honestly, number one is to pray about what you're doing. Set a plan and a goal and try not to have any knee jerk reactions. And by that, I mean like really quick reactions. Think about what you're doing. Contemplate on what it is that you're doing. And that's not just with the finances. That's not, I'm not just talking about, stepping into signing a lease with a friend or signing a lease with your boyfriend or a lease for a car. I'm not only referring to that. I mean, overall, really, really contemplate what you're doing and give yourself a break. Give yourself time. And speaking of a break, I hear a lot of young women under 25, I hear them talk a lot about, I must have a relationship, or I'm really interested in a relationship. Relationships are great. Sex is great, but sex is for adults. It's a huge responsibility behind sex. And you really, really need to get to know yourself. You really need to live. You really need to travel, work, change jobs, go to school, prosper, develop meaningful friendships, develop meaningful relationships with people, even if they're not friends, but network people, people in business, or your professors at school, or your teachers at school. Establish relationships with meaningful people that can be long term. You don't have to, like a relationship, an intimate relationship does not have to be your focal point when you're 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. You've got your entire life to live. And I get it. That compassion or that companion or that boyfriend or that girlfriend, that that relationship, that intimacy, and not just sexual, but that intimacy, because most times your boyfriend will be, your partner will be your best friend, or your partner should be your best friend. So if you didn't know that, that's the way. If your husband is not your best friend, something's wrong. That's wrong. And if you have a boyfriend and he's not your best friend, that's wrong too. That should be your best friend. That should be your go-to person. And speaking of which, you're supposed to always be winning when you do have a partner. You're not supposed to be with a partner and you're losing. Your partner is supposed to lift you up, both of you, spiritually, financially, emotionally, psychologically. That's why the person comes into the picture with you, to add, not to be all, because you are already complete before that person even comes into the picture. But that person comes into the picture to add to the beauty of your life. And you, in turn, do the same thing. Whatever it is you do, however you are in relationships, having fun, laughing, traveling, supporting each other spiritually, religiously, academically, whatever it is, when you're in a relationship with someone, it's supposed to be progressive. And I really, really, really wanted to bring up this topic because like I said, I'm speaking to many, like dozens of young women who are in these relationships and seem lonely and lost and still struggling. That's why it's very important to be single. Like, if a relationship comes and it unfolds naturally, then that's great. But what I'm referring to is young women desperately seeking a partnership, desperately seeking someone else. You need to know you're good enough. You need to know you're good. You need to know that. And you need to be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself, and don't let anybody else lie to you. And I understand some of it some of the strong urge, strong desires to have a partner could come from some childhood trauma or some childhood lack. It doesn't have to be anything clinical, or it could be. So I realize, I understand, and I respect that some of it comes from a place. It comes from an experience. It comes from the past. So sometimes people feel that they've lacked a lot. So I gotta grab on to something else and someone else to feel complete and to have. But what I'm really trying to explain to you today is that you don't have to. Exactly who you are, exactly what you are, exactly where you are is absolutely perfectly fine. Trust me. You don't must have that significant other. And if you do, and even if you don't, rely on your instincts. If something tells you it's wrong, something's wrong, then it's wrong. Then it's wrong. There's no need to waste time. No need to waste time with the stories, the apologies, the feedback. That's just unnecessary. Your intuition, your instinct is true. So rely on it and trust it. Trust yourself. Rely on yourself. You and God. That's where your mindset, that's where your focal point needs to be, because you have to progress. There's too many intelligent, beautiful young women that are taking on, like I said, these very mature responsibilities, these very emotional responsibilities at an extremely young age, 17, 18, 19, 20, and you're just not ready. You can't be, because you've only been on the earth 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years even. I mean, emotionally, it takes time to grow spiritually. It takes time to grow emotionally, and you have to give yourself a break. You have to give yourself that time, and you will be a better, much better adult and be much more prepared as an adult if you wait. And I know 18 is an adult, I know. However, it takes time and it takes experience and it takes learning. And there's a process to it. It's just not that once you reach that number, then it's a magical number and everything falls into place. No, you have to live through life and have experiences, and you will be better off when you have some of those experiences independent of someone else. Now, I'm not trying to down anybody that's very young, 17, 18, 19, 20, with a boyfriend or married. That's not what I'm referring to. And even if you are married at a very young age, still have that sense of independency somewhat, where you're able to stand on your own without your significant other. Like, and I just mean, if you vacation without your significant other, I'm not recommending that. I'm just saying, if you decide to go see a family member and your significant other has to work, you need to know that you can rely on yourself and be okay, because life is ever changing. It's most of us are under supported, so you do have to learn to rely more on yourself and much more on God. And I don't care what anybody says, God is the number one way that you're going to be okay. And I back that up 100 and a billion% infinitely. So, in closing, to my beautiful little sisters, give yourself a break. Focus on your goals. If you don't have any, develop some goals. If you don't know what to consider as a goal, just think of some things that you enjoy doing and understand that you can do them independent of anybody else. And that could be friendships or anybody. And I know that sometimes some people have had parents who have been what they deem to be unreliable and unsupportive, inconsistent, flighty, or anything else negative. And so you haven't had the opportunity to learn because there hasn't been a true, solid, meaningful role model. Even if it is your parent that you, of course, love dearly, and most parents love their children dearly, but sometimes parents don't know what to do either. So subsequently, you could grow up not knowing what to do, or sometimes parents teach you to do the wrong thing or the thing that's not so great for you. So it's not your fault. It's not your fault if there's certain things you don't know, certain things you've missed, certain things you haven't been trained to do. I used to work in a women's shelter, and there were two young ladies that were in the shelter, recently released from prison, and one of the young ladies was complaining about her roommate and her roommate's cleaning habits. And when we sat down and had a meeting together, we learned one of the young ladies, she was like 19, and the other one was like 20. The one who was being complained about had been taught by her mother to clean the floor with hot water. So the other one that was complaining on her, she didn't understand that because she had been taught how to clean with bleach or detergent or something else, disinfectant or whatever on the floor. But this particular young lady had only learned, she was 19, only learned from her mom how to clean a floor with a mop with hot water. So she couldn't possibly be accountable for her cleaning habits or lack thereof because she hadn't been taught. So I say that to say we have to be patient with one another because you never know what someone's history is, what someone's background is, and we don't need to make assumptions and presumptions about people not knowing, because we all got a story, we all got a background, we all got a history, and sometimes we're unfamiliar with that of others. So if you're someone who has not, you feel like you haven't been taught appropriately by your parent, whether it was mom, dad, or your guardian, if you feel like they haven't shown or explained to you different things about life, and you've been struggling and just doing it on your own to the best of your ability, it's okay. It's okay. Because what you can do is look inside yourself and explore what you know is good, what you know is right, what you know is better, what you know is progressive, what you know is healthy. So, and even if you can't figure that out within yourself, because sometimes people get stuck and you can't figure it out, locate a trustworthy person. And if you don't find a trustworthy person who you could respect their opinion or you could respect their perspective, if you don't find that person, move on to the next person and keep looking. I promise you, eventually, you're going to find a role model. You're going to find someone that can help educate you. And even if it's self-education, if it is reading a book, and I'm not referring to the internet and all of what's on there. I mean, that's okay too, but don't be afraid to go and read a book about something that interests you, a topic. Go to Barnes and Noble and just comb the aisles, really just comb the aisles and see if there is something that reaches out and grabs you, if there's a certain issue that you might be struggling with or an issue that you're just interested in. Explore it. Do some personal research. My main point today is to say to my young, beautiful sisters, slow down. Slow down, because some are moving really, really too fast. And I can't express to you how much, how serious it is that once you cross that adult line, there's no going back. I mean, trust me, it's better to enter into adulthood fully at 30 than it is to enter into it fully at 19, 20, 21. Trust me. I want you to have fun with your whole life, not just fun at 19, 18, 20, fund your whole entire life, and you can do that. You just have to think, plan, and pray, and take the feedback and the suggestions of people that are intelligent and people that you respect. If you have a wise boss, and seek out wisdom. If you go to your church and there's a pastor that you feel is smart or intelligent, meet with them, talk to them, or one of your professors. Professors love when you become friendly with them. Professors love amicable students. They love it. They want you to be interested. And teachers, to my little sisters that are still in high school, teachers like, not all of them, not all professors, but teachers like it when you are inquisitive, and they like it when they see that in education, or they see that you're interested in something outside of just nonsense, for lack of a better term. Professors and teachers like for students to be intelligent. Remember, you got your whole life ahead of you, your whole life, for credit, for bills, for big responsibilities. I'm not saying don't go and lease a car. I'm not saying don't go get an apartment, but save yourself the drama. If you can stay at home and stack your dough and get out there, because life now is extremely unpredictable. It's very, very inconsistent. So don't add on extra grief. Don't. And yeah, you're gonna live and learn. Trust me, stuff is gonna happen inevitably anyway. So, but don't add on. Don't make it come on beforehand, because you got to be careful. Some of these situations can lead a person to feeling depressed and saddened and anxious and just unnerved, and you just want to avoid that if you can, because you're going to get those emotions anyway. But why get them prematurely? So fall back, take a break, take a breather, relax, and just go with the flow of life, and don't make too many adult decisions. And you guys are smart, so I know that you're going to know how to distinguish between too adult for me right now, as opposed to maybe in 2 years I'll do that. So I hope that this has been very, very helpful. It's very, very heartfelt. I've been thinking about this week, and I really couldn't wait to get to you to tell you. If you know someone that this message could be helpful to, please share it with them. And of course, I'm going to revisit again. I always like to revisit different topics, because sometimes I think later about something that I could have or should have shared with you. So I'll just bring it up again. So just remember, slow down, relax, give yourself a break, and stay age appropriate. Just stay age appropriate, because it's not that serious. All right? So until next time, you stay blessed. So good to see you and be with you, and I will be back to you soon. And what? We literally have each other's hearts in our hands. Until next time, peace